Hi, good evening, everyone. And today we are going to look at some grouped continuous data. So on my table, we have 5 groups. The first being 0 to 19, second 20 to 29, third 30 to 39, fourth 40 to 49, and fifth 50 to 59. We have the corresponding frequencies for each group. And this set of data, as you can see, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups. So the data has 5 groups, and each group of data is a class or an interval. So when a height is given as, let's say, 20 centimeters, if a height is given as 20 centimeters to the nearest centimeter, its true value lies between 19.5 and 29.5. Therefore, each height in the class 20 to 29 has a true value between 19.5 and 29.5. These are what we call the class boundaries. So we have what we call the class boundaries. But before we go to the class boundaries, let us identify first the class limits. So we have the group or interval 20 to 29. We have 2 values, a lower value and a higher value. The low value we call the lower class limit, and the high value we call the upper class limit. In abbreviated form, this is the LCL. Similarly, this is the UCL. So those are the limits of each class or interval. And then we have boundaries where the actual value may lie, because 20 to 29 is an approximation to the nearest centimeter. So we could have a height of, say, 19.5 or 19.8, and that will have to be placed somewhere in our class or our interval. So the difference between this value and this value is 1. And when we divide it by 2, we will get 0.5. So for our class boundaries, the first being the lower class boundary, also known as LCB, is simply the lower class limit minus 0.5. So the limit was 20, take away 0.5. This is 19.5 centimeters. What it means is that every height 19.5 upwards will be found in that interval. Then we have the upper class boundary. Also known as UCB. And this is the upper class limit plus 0.5. So 29 plus 0.5 will give me 29.5 centimeters. What it simply means is that the true values of this class interval lies between 19.5 and 29.5. We also have class widths, and the formula for the class width is the upper class boundary minus the lower class boundary. 29.5 minus 19.5. So when we find the difference of those two numbers, we will get 10. So the class width is 10. So this was just a small video explaining what are class or intervals, what are the limits, and what are the boundaries, and how we go about working out the class with. So I do hope that you benefited from it somehow, and we will continue again next time. So thank you so much for joining.